My brother is holding a 14-year grudge, and I don't think it can be fixed.
That's literally a teenager.
This is going to be a long one, even for Reddit standards. I, 23 female, am the youngest in my immediate family. I have 2 older brothers, 25 male and 27 male, and my parents, 55 male and 54 female. To make this easier for everyone involved, I'll call my oldest brother Andy and the younger one Ed. So, Andy has nearly a decade and a half grudge against most of our family for something that happened around 14 years ago. It's gotten so bad that he limits contact with our parents, a lot of uncles and aunts, some cousins, and nearly didn't invite them to his wedding a year back. In 2010, a lot of our family set up a vacation trip abroad to the United States. Pretty much everyone was stoked to go since we were going to Florida during the holiday season from my country. Since we were all under 16 at the time, we had to get travel passports and applied months before the trip. Eventually, all the prepping was finished and we were just waiting for our passports, which took some time to process through, but eventually we got them in person by visiting Home Affairs. The problem started when Andy's application had somehow gotten lost during the process, and the only option at that point was to restart the process entirely for him. This was incredibly rare and no one knew how this happened. The paperwork just vanished. But we were already less than a month out of actually heading out for the trip. No other options to get this right. So our family had 2 options. We either cancel the entire thing and probably lose some money and whatever time we invested in this, or we go and do it without him, but leave him with his aunt who was pregnant with her first kid and would be staying in our home country with her husband. The family chose to go anyways, since everyone was really looking forward to it and the kids involved would be heartbroken if we all just up and canceled at the last minute. Andy's happiness and excitement for the trip did a complete 180. Into him being bitter and angry about it. Our parents, aunts, and uncles and grandparents really tried to explain that it wasn't personal and was a complete accident, and that they'd make it up to him in the future, but he was having none of it. He pretty much stopped talking to everyone, and we all eventually left for the 2-week trip. Our parents gave our aunt extra money to spoil him and take him out during the 2 weeks to help make it less unfair for him, but she told us he didn't do anything but stay in her guest room and play his instruments and go on his Xbox 360. So our group of over 20 had fun and whatnot, and I admit it was the best vacation we'd ever had as a family. We never got something so extravagant ever again, because all the adults pooled their Christmas bonuses and vacation savings together for this trip. I feel bad for my brother since we visited Disneyland, SeaWorld, and just spent the time eating out and at the beach. For a 9-year-old girl, meeting all the Disney princesses was something out of this world, and it's something I still fondly remember. Ed and our male cousins loved SeaWorld and the rides at Disney. Mobile phones weren't as prevalent back then, but we had cameras, so obviously pictures were taken. We got back, and my brother was completely ice cold to every single person who went on that trip. He refused to even speak to me or Ed for weeks, even after we went back to school. Our parents really felt bad about this and hoped he would get over it, so they tried really hard to talk it through with him. Andy just called them traitorous, and that he knew where we all stood now. His anger got so bad that he actually put a few holes in a few doors in the house on his bad days. Whenever our parents tried to calm him down and reprimand him, he would just scream at them and tell them they have nothing on him. That became his go-to instant argument ender, even if he was in the wrong. It always came back to this trip and how he'd never be able to experience it ever. Whenever we were at family events from that point on, he'd always scream at everyone to shut up if anyone even so much as brought that trip up. He ripped up pictures we'd had printed and tore up one of my plushies from the trip. He started using swear words often around us all and even insult people in vulgar ways. Our mom had enough and gave him a slap when he insulted one of our female cousins. He called her a selfish bee in an argument where she continued pressing him after he played the left out on the vacation card. He completely snapped on us and threw the biggest freak out I'd ever seen in my life. I'm talking thrown glasses and plates, tables flipped with food on them. He ruined the day and scared a crap ton of our family, including our baby cousin, who was like 3 at that point. Where are the parents? Parents should be way more concerned about this behavior.
I was like, the anger is justified. Him lashing out like this, not justified.
He had to be restrained by some of the men in the family and carried into his room after that. And our parents got extremely worried about this behavior. Yes, thank you, parents. I never saw my brother get so angry ever in my life, and I cried like a baby when he did that. My mom, to this day, still wishes she never set him off. They tried to get him help for his anger issues, and it seemed to work when he met his therapist, which he still sees to this day some months later. After a lot of trying and different sessions with different therapists, he didn't have another outburst like that ever again, and my parents never laid a hand on any of us after that. It was common to get a spanking or a smack for most kids our age at that point if we really misbehaved or did something bad. So please don't shout abuse in the comments, and if I ever have kids, I won't be touching them like that at all. It's just different cultures. He was just never the same ever again. He had no interest in family time anymore, and he outright quit the marching band, much to my dad and grandfather's disappointment, though he still kept up the trumpet and learned guitar by himself. Music runs in the family, but my oldest was the only one who wanted to play any instruments. Andy disassociated from us in church, sitting by himself in another section, which really stung for my parents. But to pretty much everyone else, he was exactly the same. He had the aunt and her husband do his confirmation, which was really something else. It's pretty silly, but the most accurate way to describe it was like Jekyll and Hyde. Cold and hateful to anyone who was involved in the trip, but his normal cheerful self to everyone else to maintain appearances. There were a few dicey decisions my parents made that ruined the already strained relationship between us and him. Oh boy, I wonder what those are. Namely, letting me and my brother go abroad during school trips. When you reach grade 9, you choose 3 elective subjects to take during grades 10 through 12. This is pretty much the starting point of your career, so you have to choose wisely. He went for business, physics, and accounting since he enjoyed those and had wanted to go into fields related to those subjects. Ed and I went for 2 subjects, namely tourism and geography, respectively, since they were easy and enjoyable to us. The thing with tourism and geography is that they introduced excursions abroad for those classes pretty much the year before my brother had matriculated. If we didn't go, our parents would have had to let us stay in school doing nothing since most teachers and students would be on said trip. So they paid for me to go to Vietnam and my brother to go to Prague. When my brother found out, he was livid, but didn't scream or anything. Our family couldn't afford to do another big Disney trip again, but they could afford to send us on smaller vacations like these. They could have sent him to do the exact same vacation alone, but he was underage. My parents offered to let him vacation on his own after he was 18, but he did not react well. He just told them it was too little too late and some other colorful things. Again, paraphrasing, what the heck's the point of doing that crap alone? He kept it that way all throughout high school, even if it went online, and did pretty good for himself. He managed to finish in the top 15 of the grade for his final year, which was a big deal, and he kept an A aggregate for most of his subjects. He scored a bursary for his university studies and just left to live on campus. That was pretty much the last time we saw him in a regular fashion. Literal years pass without any messages, and my parents are watching his social media like a hawk to make sure he's okay. He only speaks to his grandmas on both sides of the family and our aunt and her husband and their daughter. He meets his now wife, and they marry years later. She invites us since he doesn't want to speak to us directly. Ed and I think we were only invited at the time because our grandma was on her last legs with her cancer getting worse, and he didn't want her to feel miserable about this before she passed. So he probably invited us for her sake. We were placed in the middle of the section, which wasn't bad, I guess. What was really painful was seeing him act so nicely towards his wife's family. Since then, he showed up for our grandma's funeral, who did pass a few months ago, but he clearly hates being around us and would rather be anywhere else. And now it's an occasional dry call my mom makes to him just to check on him. The family is still feeling raw about this, and my parents keep talking about this with their siblings and our remaining grandparents. By the way, you can talk with us about literally anything every weekday at, pretty much within reason, 3 p.m. PST every weekday on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap our profile and you're in the live. One day, I just spoke my mind to my brother and said that he doesn't care about us anymore and that we should just move on from each other. I understand why he's hurt, and I think it's better if we just let this relationship fizzle out if Andy wants it to. If he gets over it, we can all chat and try to make sure we put it behind us. My mom got really sad about it, and my dad and a few others just argued with me for wanting to abandon him and that he'd come around eventually. Ed is also leaning on leaving it up to Andy to make the first move if he ever wants a relationship with us again. So yeah, am I the a-hole? Going to work, so I won't be able to add info or respond for a bit. Honestly, I don't think you're the a-hole for being like, look, it's been 14 years, man. Clearly you don't like us. I think we should just go our separate ways, all of us, until you decide you want to, be brought back in, I guess, because you just let him know that the invitation is open. Come back whenever. As of right now, clearly you don't want anything to do with us, so let's not pretend.
Let's not waste the energy and make things awkward and like put you in an awkward situation, put me in an awkward situation, speaking for OP.
I'm so afraid of my roommate that I only leave my room with an active sound recorder. I've been living in a co-ed student house for a few years now. A month ago, one of our old male roommates moved out and a new guy moved in his place. We all have small separate rooms but shared the bathroom and kitchen. So at first, the guy seemed fine. He said he liked cleaning and was honestly quite charming. I'm a bit of a chatterbox, so I took on the role of warming him up to the place. I showed him where we keep stuff, explained the cleaning schedule, and let him know that although we have our own cooking utensils, we usually just share them for convenience. He seemed very happy with that and even brought his electric kettle for the rest of us to use as well. Life seemed good. For a while, at least. We're both night owls, so we bumped into each other in the kitchen and chatted a lot during cooking. However, our conversation started getting weird and uncomfortable. One time, he mentioned me having a very vegetarian diet. Later, following with a lecture how he eats meat every day and I should too. I just shrugged and said that I'm doing fine with my veggies. But since he works out a lot, it's normal for him to eat a lot of meat. I let him try a bit of my guacamole when he suddenly offered me a small plate of a dish from his country. He said it was rice fried with potatoes and spices. I don't believe him.
I don't either.
I don't believe him. After I took a few bites, he suddenly decided to mention that it contains pork as well. If that wasn't weird enough, 2 days later, he came to me and out of nowhere asked, when am I cooking something for him? When he saw me being very taken aback, he tried to play it off as a joke. Me being petty, I made him a bowl of soup that was way too spicy for him. And watched him suffer while trying to finish it.
Nice.
Excellent work. I thought he learned his lesson, but apparently not. Strange remarks continued. He noticed one of my plants getting dry. I must have forgotten to water it. He started laughing that I must enjoy unaliving things and that it used to be the same way back at his family home. That is a red flag. A super big red flag. He would buy farm animals only to unalive them a few days later. And it was one of his favorite activities.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
I tensed up and said that I don't think these things are comparable at all. He shrugged it off as if he hadn't just said something so out of pocket. Then, without asking, he grabbed my water filter jug and starts watering my plants with it. Then he just left it empty on the counter and walked out. I was too dumbfounded to say anything. On a few separate occasions, he also started commenting how good, well-behaved, shy, submissive, etc. I was.
Oh no.
OP, you need to get out of there.
Yeah.
Or like report him. If this is student housing, absolutely report him. This is unacceptable behavior.
Yes.
Every time I protested it, but he always said that I look like it, so I must be it.
I want to throw up.
My last straw was him taking one of my decorative hand towels and permanently staining it.
Aw.
Our cleaning cloths apparently have ran out, but instead of buying new ones and asking to split the cost like we've been doing all the time, he decided to take the towel and use it as a cleaning rag. In the morning, I told him that we will need to talk about something in the evening. During that whole evening, he hid in his room. When I confronted him about it the next day, he literally stood over me and started yelling at me. He said that it's just a stupid towel and it's meant for cleaning anyways, and that I'm stupid for yelling at him for cleaning. I told him not to cut me off and derail the conversation. My point was that he has to be respectful of all the belongings in the house, shared or not. Then he started yelling even louder that me and the third roommate, also a girl, are not allowed to shower when he sleeps because that's disrespectful to him. I told him that I will not stand for this and that all he's doing is trying to change the topic. Then he scoffed at me and said that if I don't want my stuff touched, then I shouldn't keep it in the kitchen. So it's basically my fault for leaving it there. Right. I can't write the whole conversation here, but those were the most important points. After that, he noticed me holding my phone in my hand. I had secretly turned on sound recording because I was getting very scared. He yelled at me, "Why do I need my phone right now?" So I told him that he knows dang well why. He left the room acting as if I just offended his whole family. After that, he pretended to ignore me, but in reality, he was glaring at me all the time. He was also obnoxiously slamming all the cabinets and loudly sighing anytime I entered the kitchen. For context, ever since he moved in, he was using my pots for cooking. They are very characteristic red enamel pots that can also double as deep frying pans. I understood why he liked them so much. These are dang good pots. I didn't have a problem with it, but I noticed that they were often left dirty in the sink overnight or only cleaned on the inside and left to dry with all the dirt dirt and gunk still left on the outside. He would also leave out his dirty dishes on the counter that would just sit there all day as if he was checking if one of us girls will clean after him. The dishes and cutlery he washes are often left with visible food chunks and sauce stains. He also leaves all the knives blade side up on the dryer. It's as if he's leaving out little traps and messes for me and the other roommate, and then goes around the house and obnoxiously announces how messy the house is because one of us accidentally left some hair in the bathtub. I see how it is. He's pedantic only when it comes to me and the roommate cleaning. The second straw for me was when he hid one of my pots in his room all day, and when asked to bring it back, he not only gave it back dirty, but also without the lid. Then he quickly closed his room and left the house so that I couldn't mention the lid. I don't think he realized that they were specifically my pots, but I'm sure he did all the petty hiding because he saw me using them a lot. So I played a waiting game. As soon as he brought out the lid, thinking he's victorious, my plan is started. I took every single one of my belongings out of the kitchen as soon as he wasn't looking. I did it in a way that he couldn't tell whether it was me or the other roommate. Now the kitchen is barren. Barely anything to cook with, no pretty towels. Luckily, the other roommate doesn't mind because she has her own stuff also hidden in her room. It seems like everyone's hiding in the room. I know all of it is just a petty game, but I feel like he's trying to control the whole house. I decided to nip this behavior in the bud, which he obviously didn't like. His demeanor is still very hostile, especially now that all the good kitchen utensils are gone. I feel his eyes on my neck all the time I'm outside my room, but I have to leave. I have to go to the bathroom and cook for myself. I have to take showers. He still doesn't speak to me, but I feel the tension. I know he's going to blow up one day, and it feels sooner than later. By the way, you can blow us up by joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube. Just tap our profile.
Just tap it.
I don't have enough evidence to show my landlord yet, so kicking the guy out is not an option. All I can do is keep the phone on me and record everything. I'm scared. I don't know what else to do. I don't think I can live like that a long term, but I really like this place and I don't want to move out. All my friends and family know what's been going on. I have a support system just in case. I will not be chased away even if I'm scared as hell. But that's the end of that story.
My best friend tried to steal my husband, but my husband was too loyal. Got him. So we, 37 female and 39 male, have been together for 15 years, married for 12, and have 4 kids together. We've always had a wonderful, loving relationship and have both been amazing partners to each other. My mom is not doing well health-wise. I flew out to her with our youngest on Friday morning and will be flying back tomorrow night. A few hours ago, my best friend called me crying and said that she got into a major fight with her husband after she found out he cheated and asked if she could come over. She had forgotten that I wasn't in town, and I talked to her for a little while and tried to calm her down. I also called my husband explaining the situation and asked if it was okay for my best friend to spend the night in our guest room, and he was fine with it. I took our iPad with me to keep our youngest entertained while at my parents' place. It's logged into my husband's Apple ID email, so his messages and calls should show up on it. When I went to put it into charge, I saw tens of messages from my best friend to my husband. I found it strange since they were supposed to be under the same roof, and I knew it was wrong to snoop, but I ended up reading the messages anyways. Long story short, something happened between them. My husband kicked her out, and my best friend wants to keep whatever it is a secret, but my husband says that I deserve to know. I don't know what to do or think now. I have no one I can talk to about this. What am I supposed to do now? We have relevant comments. We have an update. Thank God. The boss 6200 says, at least he wants to tell you about it. You should call him and ask him what it is that you deserve to know. It might just be that she made a move on him and he got mad and kicked her out, but contact him now. Grimwall says, same. She's just been cheated on and she likely wanted revenge. Yeah. But in her distress, she picked up the nearest man to her, just made more of a mess of her life. Completely valid reason to cut her out. Also, if OP values the friendship, she has room to be understanding without looking foolish since her husband is loyal. She 100% owes him a huge high five. I would personally understand and forgive, but keep her at arm's length for years, if not forever. Just because I understand doesn't mean I give you access to my personal life again. About the husband. Yes, loyalty is expected and mandatory. No, that doesn't mean most people won't take low-hanging fruit if offered. He isn't like most. That itself deserves acknowledgement, and since you saw it in practice before your eyes. Having verifiable proof your partner won't play you, even if they reasonably could get away with it, is worthy of celebration. Not necessarily because he deserves a treat, but because you now know you are truly safe with your back turned. If he kissed her or something, then he can go and get effed though. The update. Next day. You guys are right. I wanted to have this conversation face to face, and I waited till I got back a few hours ago. We talked after we had dinner and all the kids had went to bed. After my now former friend showered and freshened up, my husband gave her leftovers from dinner, and they talked about her husband and the situation with her husband. And out of nowhere, she tried to sit on his lap and tried kissing him. And my husband pushed her off, and she tried again, and he told her that she had to leave. My husband admitted that he was tempted to call me late last night, but didn't want to add more to my plate while I was with my mom, because remember, Opie's mom is in the hospital, and he wanted to physically be there with me when he told me. I have talked to her since, and she is back at her place, and her husband is not there. She's been very apologetic and is saying that she wasn't in the right headspace and made a mistake trying something with my husband, and is begging me not to break apart our friendship. To be honest, I feel bad for her, but she knows how much I love my husband and my family, and she is willing to ruin everything, and I can't forgive that or rationalize that. It's relevant comments. Extension Accident 47 says, it's nice to read that someone didn't automatically cheat and cared about what happened with their marriage. Right? I've read too many cheating stories on here and have become too cynical. Opie and her husband handled it maturely. Medical Solid says, a good husband. Couldn't be Macy says, being Delulu is not the Solulu. I've been distraught. I've been grieving. I've been heartbroken, but I've never tried to F my friend's husband. It's just like, truly, how can that be an accident? That is 100% intentional. And the fact that the ex was trying to get your husband to not tell you about it is another great point. Comfortable One 8520 says, I've had several friends whose husbands had affairs. In every case, it was the wife's best friend. Sure, she's your BFF and you're like sisters, yada, 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 but she also knows your weaknesses and all about any possible fractured lines in your marriage. I mean, I think it kind of solved itself. Honestly, OP, I think, is like super fair, level-headed, and did all the right things.